Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity, and here we talk about whatever interests me, whether it's internet-y stuff, whether it's makeup, whether it's a show I've binge watched. So today, I'm gonna do a makeup again. I'm gonna do something I've never done before with my makeup, so let's pray for me with that. But today's topic is going to be on the terrorist organization Colourpop. I have to do this. This company won't leave us alone and want it to stop, please. So Colourpop is a brand that started getting popular around 2016, 2017. That's when I started to see them kind of everywhere. I think they were something that was needed at that time in makeup, because like at that point makeup was pretty, it was, it felt like makeup was more so for like older women, and Colourpop kind of came through and gave us not only very useful, very fresh, but also reasonable prices, because that's the one thing about Colourpop I can't knock them for. Their prices are really, really good, especially for beginners. I feel like if you don't know much about makeup, Colourpop is good. If you don't really know what you're doing and you're not trying to do like complicated stuff, Colourpop is great for that. I will give you that. I will. When I first started getting into makeup, the first eyeshadow palette I did buy was Colourpop palette. I will get into the mess that was. But a little history, I don't know if it's history, but background about Colourpop. Unlike most companies, everything at Colourpop is done in-house. I mean everything. I mean formulation, packaging, shipping. All of that and everything in between happens in the same factory. So unlike most brands, they can release more if that's the case, which you think it's a good thing. But when you're being assaulted every 3 to 5 business days, it's not. It's not a good thing. Because that's the problem with Colourpop. There is no cool down time between collections. And I'm not saying products. Normal companies, they drop a lot of products. You get like one eyeshadow palette, a bronzer, a highlight, mascara. Colourpop, because everything is done in-house, will release an entire collection. So eyeshadows, bronzers, blushes, highlights, lip products, eyeliners, all in one, which it's a lot, especially for people who like makeup like me. Oh, I didn't say, I'm gonna be using my Sweet Pinks palette by Juvia's Place and my The Mauves by Juvia's Place. I haven't decided. I have a look in my head, but we will see if it executes. And I kind of used my Fenty Stunna lip paint as like a base. You know, like I've seen people buy bases, but I'm like, I have this, and this is pretty good. I can't use it, so we'll see how this goes. But the difference between other brands and Colourpop is Colourpop drops collections every 3 to 5 business days. And that's a problem. That is a problem. That's too much. It feels like, because if you're like me who likes makeup, you have poor impulse control when it comes to makeup. You want any and every makeup you see. Like, I love buying makeup. It is very fun for me. I truly enjoy it. And companies like Colourpop make it real hard because they're always releasing stuff, and it makes me want to try it. And I know that's their point, they are a company. But it's like, you want me to believe that you can drop 4, 5 collections in a span of 48 hours and all of them are good. Colourpop, for all of their collections, because they do get like the major brand deals, like they get a good portion of like most of Disney properties get a Colourpop collab. Like they get all of these collabs, but they're not usually that good. Like it comes to like maybe like the packaging might be nice, but like the actual like makeup sometimes like when you're doing like a well-known brand, not brand, a well-known franchise, like let's say they've done Disney princesses, right? And some of those palettes did not look like palettes. Like some of the colors and like the shades just did not look like anything I would see any of the Disney princesses use. There's just like when you're dealing with fans of stuff and you want to take on a property, you have to do it justice because the fans will complain, the fans will say something, and we did say something. We did because those were bad. I think maybe I just want them because at one point they did kind of relax on dropping, and people actually enjoyed it better that way. It's more. It just feels like you're taking your time trying to make something good if you just chill out for like 10 days out the year and not just release because it just we know you are a company and you're trying to make money, but don't make it obvious to us. Don't make it obvious that all you're here for is our money. Because that's in 2020 how corporations move now, is to pretend like they're your friend, to pretend like they're humans, and people will buy from them. So when we see an obvious corporation, we don't kind of want to be a part of it. We don't. Now, Colourpop does have stands. They do, which is weird to me. Those of you who like stand brands are so weird because like they don't care about you like at all. Their literal job is to sell you things. Like that is their one and only purpose, is to market and sell you things that you may want. Will truthfully and honestly fight you to the death for Colourpop. And I'm just like, their products aren't even that good. Like for the price point, the products are good. But then when you think about like makeup as a whole, no. Colourpop makeup is not that good. At least for now we're gonna get into the second part of the video. Colourpop hates black people. I'm sorry to be the one to let some of you know about your fave brand. They do not like black people. So when I first got into makeup, I bought a Colourpop palette because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. It was cheap, and I wanted to like dip my toe in Colourpop makeup. And makeup in general, but I was like, I'm gonna use Colourpop because everyone always tells me how nice Colourpop, because so many people have said how amazing Colourpop is, how nice it is, especially for the price point, that even at this cheap, it's so good, it's so nice. So I fell into the hype train. I'm not even gonna lie, the hype train, she got me. So I went to Ulta with one of my friends, and I forgot the name of the palette. I ended up giving it to my mother. You'll know why. That was the first thing in my collection. I used it all the time. But the thing is, I was using the same, like, 2 mattes, and I would use the shimmers. Why is that? I think this is when they were doing the 9 pans, no mirrors. This was a little bit ago, so I feel like this was maybe 2018-ish, around that era, because this was before Colourpop started putting mirrors in some of their palettes. Is the cardboard palettes, no mirrors, that stage. And I used that palette. That was my only palette, so I used it all the time when I was like doing my hair and I wanted to take pictures, and I was like, I'm gonna use my Colourpop palette to make these horrible, ugly, depthless looks. And you wanna know why there's no depth? Because I didn't have any shades to use. In that palette, I could only use 2 of the mattes. One of them was like a burgundy shade, the other one was a dark brown. And then Colourpop also has these formulas that I hate, where it's a matte, but it has glitters in it, but it doesn't matter because it just kind of, once you blend it, the glitters in it blend out. That brown was also pretty much the same shade as the dark brown. And then, so out of the 9 pan, I think there is 6 mattes, 3 shimmers. I can only use 3 of the mattes because the other 3 mattes were so light and ashy on me. So light. And especially, like, light in a way that, like, it just dust. And the way I do my makeup is I have a crease. I usually do a crease shade. And then I deepen it. I give with my outer V into the crease with a darker shade to give my eyes a little bit of depth, you know? So my eyes don't just look like one shade splattered everywhere. The issue with my Colourpop palette is I couldn't do that. And at the time, I was too busy drinking the Kool-Aid about how amazing Colourpop is to see how bad that palette was. I couldn't do anything with it. Like, I couldn't do cut creases. I couldn't do anything that I do now with my makeup, could not do with my Colourpop palette because it was not, I didn't have any shades that were rich enough to do my cut crease. And that's something overall in almost all Colourpop palettes. It's great for people. Colourpop is great for people with lighter skin tones. But once you get closer to my skin tone, as deep as me and then deeper than me, and the shade that is supposed to be the deepening shade is your crease shade, and then after that, there's nothing else. There is nothing else in that palette for you to use because you use the deepest shade on your crease. And that's an overarching theme in all of Colourpop's palettes. And honestly, it took me a while to see that because I was too busy on the Colourpop is great train and was literally lying to myself. I think because that was the only palette I owned. I thought all palettes were like that, where because of my skin tone, I couldn't. Also back then, like, I wasn't like either like putting concealer on my eyes or anything like that because because now I have to put concealer on my eyes usually because I have the craziest creases you've ever seen, and also I have pretty small eyes. But yes, I was in this world where I thought Colourpop was the greatest thing to ever exist because I was lying to myself. I was lying to myself trying to make it work because I spent this money. But then when I started buying more makeup, I think I ordered like 2 BH Cosmetics palettes, as well as I think I even got like, and then you know what, because my 2 BH Cosmetics palettes, those were colorful palettes. First one was Aurora Lights one. That one is just glitters in different finishes. Like some are baked, some are just toppers, stuff like that. And then I got the Trendy in Tokyo palette. So in my brain, like, more neutral palettes just didn't have my skin tone. Like, they didn't work on my skin tone. That is the lie I had myself under, just trying to make this Colourpop palette look good and work and kind of be a Colourpop fan like the rest of you. Until I bought my LA Girls palette, which is a bunch of neutrals with shimmers, and like, it was like a different world. Like, I could do different looks. Because the thing with the Colourpop palette, I can only do one look. The same look with like a different shimmer. That's what the best I could do. But this LA Girls palette, I could actually like do like different looks. Like, I can do more grungier looks. I can do more soft matte, more soft glam looks. Like, in like most of the shades, except for the like maybe like 3 light ones I couldn't use for anything. But then there were a couple other light ones I could use to like go around my crease shades to kind of like, you know, blend out the harsh lines like I'm doing right now. And then that's when it clicked. If LA girls could make a palette and it could show up my skin, why couldn't Colourpop? And I woke up that day and I really sat with myself and I looked at Colourpop and I looked at everything they were selling and I realized that majority of these palettes, if not all of these palettes, do not cater to dark skinned people. And that's a conversation I think we've all had about Colourpop. Colourpop is allergic to black people and or people of darker skin tones, but we know them, but we know they're black people. Like, I'm so serious. Look at any of their collections, especially because they came out with all those pastel palettes. And the only way I've seen people be able to use the Colourpop pastel palettes is to use a white base, and I don't believe in having to make my lids white in order for me to be able to participate in makeup. I don't believe in that. I shouldn't have to do that. I really shouldn't. I feel like if you make good enough, like, I should be able to use this and be able to make something shake, you know? Like, I shouldn't have to go through hoops in order to wear makeup. I shouldn't, because the white girls don't have to. So because I'm black, I have to do 40 steps before I can use your makeup now. I'm not sitting here doing any and everything just for some makeup. So unfortunately, I'm not a girly that does do white bases. I don't. This should be light enough for me to get any form of pigmentation. I'm just saying, if I have to, because this is, I think this is maybe up one from my normal concealer shade, because I have really yellow undertones. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I'm super yellow, and that's why, depending on lighting, I look light. Depending on lighting, I look darker. But yeah, every time, like, everyone was, like, going crazy for, like, the pastels, I was just like, the way I'd have to make my lids so goddamn white. And I'm not doing that. I'm not making my lids white so I can do some makeup. I'm sorry. There's too many palettes that are good that I don't need to do all this work. Why would I do it for color for $12? I'm not doing it for $12. Like, I see so many Colourpop palettes that they look, that's the one thing about Colourpop. Their palettes are very aesthetically pleasing. They please your eye. But it's like, and I look at them and I'm like, ooh, I want that. And then I have to sit and look at the palettes. When I look at the palettes, I understand that because of my skin tone and because I refuse to use a white base, that 3 of those shades on my eye will look exactly the same. They just will. There's not enough difference in them, not difference enough in shade. I'm aware of the fact that on my lids, they're going to blend out to be exactly the same. I know that the deepest shade that's supposed to be the deepening shade is my crease shade, and then I can't deepen that with anything because it's my crease shade. And then I move forward in my life. I let go of the fact that even though this Colourpop palette is very pretty, very, very, very pretty, I can't do anything with it. And that's why when we have the conversation about Colourpop, I like to tune out the non-black people, because these are people who have no issue using the palettes. They make this for you. So of course you don't have an issue, you don't have a problem. This palette was made with you in mind. Unfortunately, this palette was not made with people who look like me in mind. And again, if you are a person of deeper shades that does use like white bases in order to use makeup, this is no slight to you. It's not. It is truthfully and honestly not. To each their own. I just don't feel like I have to make my eyes white in order to use makeup. I should have to. It's just not for me. Not for my ministry, but I understand why you do it. Because you want to be able to use makeup. Makeup is fun. Especially Colourpop is cheap. Colourpop is dirt cheap. If I had the opportunity to use something that cheap, I would. But I'm not going through hoops to use makeup. I'm not. Not when there's brands that make things that I can use. So why would I put myself through all of that to use a brand that does not want me to use it? Like, Colourpop does not want black people using their makeup, and that's why they don't make shades for us to use in the first place. Because we are not a priority. We're not important to them, and that's why you don't have shades makeup. And also, like, we can talk about the fact that Colourpop does not, the amount of collabs they've done with black creators, I like, is it just, it's like it's Ellery, Karuchi, who else? Like, I probably should have a little bit more research on that, but I truly and honestly didn't care. I just know they don't work with enough black creators. They did, like, they weren't collections. It was, they had some creators pick their favorites, and one of my favorite YouTubers, Kenny JD, she did that, but she didn't do a collection with Colourpop. She basically picked products that already existed, and it was like, these are my favorites. But like but there's like non-black celebrities that like Colourpop has worked with like 3-4 times, and I think Ellery just got lip products. Like, she didn't get like a collection, like an eyeshadow palette. I don't think any. And also, if you consider Karuchi black, because I know not everyone does, I kind of don't. Especially after the whole Blue Ivy joke, you're not black. You don't get to be black and you make fun of black kids' hair. You don't get to not be fully black and do it. In my opinion, that you picked your side when you do shit like that. But yeah, if you consider Karuchi black, she had a collab. Like, I don't really know any other like black creators that work with Colourpop, because they don't make our shades to begin with. I'm gonna do my what to do in my outer corner. I don't should I sorry, someone texted me. Should I do? I don't know, like, this is pink but shift screen. I'm gonna use the one that's pink but shift screen. I'm so obvious. Wow. It's like, I didn't even really show you the second palette. Ugh. I'm so obvious. It's sad. Because it's pink, but it shifts green. Like, it's cool. I'm gonna be back. My lashes on. Let's see how long that takes. I'm back after embarrassingly too long again. Is this even? Sorry, I'm just making sure my lashes are slightly on. I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna do my lip gloss, and then we're gonna get into the second part of this video. So, give me a minute. This is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop. These are really, really nice. I've gotten, like, this is my second one. Is this one? Okay. That's done. If you're wondering why I wear scarves, it's just to keep my hair out of my face, because I don't feel like getting my clips and clipping my hair back. I'm lazy. Okay. So the next half of this video is going to be about how much, because y'all, I feel like if you aren't a part of the beauty sphere, you don't understand how much Colourpop releases. So we are 10 months into 2020, a year of, you know, a virus. People aren't spending that much money. I need you to understand how much Colourpop has released this year alone. We've been in 2020 for 10 months. Again, This isn't just products. This is collections. Okay, so eyeshadows, liners, lip glosses or lipsticks, bronzers, highlights, all of that. Okay, so recently, I want to say maybe a couple of days ago. Do you hear me? Days ago, Colourpop released the Taupes collection. So we have a very basic taupey palette that would not work on someone of my skin tone. So we have the Taupe Shadow Palette, Snake Eye Super Shock Shadow Duo for $10. We have two Super Shock highlighters, as well as two ultra glossy lips, two lip pencils, and a mini Soleil Rose Oil Glow. They dropped this a couple of days ago. Definitely this was dropped last week. I want to say last week. So, they also just released their Hocus Pocus collaboration. So with that collaboration, we have Gather Round Sisters palette, $20 each. We have 3 falsy lashes, 2 glittery obsessions, those are just glitters, 3 cream gel liners, and 2 luxe lipsticks and lip liner duos. Okay, then I'll talk about this collection after I'm done with this, because this was a shit show in itself. The Sandstone Fall collection. So in this collection, we have the Sandstone palette. We have the Mai Tai Soleil Shimmering Dry Oil Mini. We have the Hydrate Vitamin C Elixir Face Serum, as well as 4 Sandstone Lippy Sticks. Next drop is the Colourpop Toast to Coral collection, which basically like the whole palette and stuff is all corally pinky colors, which they've dropped a palette that looks incredible. A lot of their stuff just looks incredibly similar to each other. I'm not even gonna lie. A lot of it just all kind of looks the same at this point, because when you've done everything else kind of just looks the same. So it has palette, it has cream liner, it has ultra glossy lips, pressed powder blush, super shock highlighter, and a 4th Ray face milk and Soleil shimmering dry oil. I just want you to know, these things that I've said have came out in the past like 3 months. This is just what has been dropped from like August to now. Next, they came out of Bound So Juicy Gloss Mini Kit and 5 shades of So Juicy Gloss. The So Juicy Gloss is so terrible. They kind of look like these, the e.l.f. ones, but unlike the e.l.f. ones, those are terrible. So don't waste your money on those. But yes, they dropped more glosses and then dropped a sunflower collection. Again, they're not just dropping new products, they're dropping full collections. So we have a palette, we have mini shocks, we have a face oil, we have 2 lip glosses, we have the Soleil dry oil, and then we have what is that? Is that a bronzer, highlighter, whatever. Then they released the face stamps, the ones that have like different like patterns, not patterns, different like shapes on them, hearts, moon, stars, stuff like that. And then I swear they dropped this like a month or 2 ago. Do you remember their awful Candyland collection? Listen, that palette is pastel, but I saw people who were like people who are white and fairly pale, it not show up on them. So they have that. I'm sorry. It's crazy when I see things that can't show up on white people's skin, because I'm just like, if it's not showing up on you, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do if it don't show up on you? So in this collection, hold on, am I gonna get a full description, or are you just going to show me pictures? It's a palette. We have glowing lip balms, lollipop flavored roller gloss, new marble blushes, and fruity fourth ray face milk kit. I think the only thing worth buying from Colourpop is their Super Shock formulas, because I hear those are really, really fantastic. And then they dropped their garden variety collection. Listen to the words I'm saying. Collection, not just singular products. And it's this ugly palette, 4 glosses, 4 blushes, and 4 like other Super Shocks. And then after that, there was the Wild Nothings collection, which is exactly what that palette was, nothing. I could use one shade, and that's the darkest shade. And then I could throw shimmer. Colourpop's a terrorist organization. I'm sorry. Because, like, they do this. They make palettes that black people can't use. And at this point, it's on purpose. They do it on purpose. They don't care about us. So that ashy palette was 2, 4, 5 Luxe glosses, 3 blushes, some Super Shocks. Then they release their freckle pens, so you could make fake freckles on your face. They had a brush holder cup. Then they released their the hyaluronic acid hydrating foundation. Then they had a tie-dye pastel collection, which again, Colourpop pastels scare me because they don't work on people my skin tone. Unless you're using, again, like pastels, you do need a light base with pastels because they're pastels. But Colourpop, what Colourpop needs is different. It needs something different. And then there was the Celestial collection. Oh yeah, they had a Mulan collaboration. Like, this is my thing. Colourpop gets all the collaborations, and I don't know why, because they do not have the best formula. They do not. There's so many brands that are like kind of like in the hip cool area that Colourpop is, and they're not getting collabs. Like, I feel like collection, like companies like maybe like Melt would do a really good job with some of these collaborations. They have the Making Mauve's eyeshadow palette. Again, if you want a nice mauve palette, just get the Juvia's Place one. Save your money. Not save your money, because I think this is a little bit more expensive, but at least it'll show up on your face if you're my color. Then what else was released? They had the Colourpop Crushes. They dropped those fake beauty blenders. This was this year. Oh my god. They collabed with Sailor Moon. I thought this came out last year. I truthfully and honestly did. They dropped more Luxe glosses. They had a Valentine's Day collection. They had a crush curated favorites. Valentine's Day collection. More velvet Luxe glosses. The Nude Mood collection. The Blush Crush collection. The Meant to Be collection. And then at the beginning of the year, Lunar New Year collection. That is all of the makeup and collections. Collections. Do you hear me? Collections that were dropped in 2020, not from 2019 to 2020. No, all of that. How much was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. In the span of 10 months, 30 products / collections were dropped. Collections that have at least, so it's eyeshadow, glosses, liners, highlighters, blush, at least 5 products in them. 10 months have passed with 30 products and collections launched. You don't need to do, I know capitalism's important, but you don't have to do all that. Capitalism can take a rest for 2 minutes. This is what we're talking about when we say like Colourpop oversaturates the industry. They released too much, and for a minute they had stopped. You kind of chilled out and relaxed, and then it was like, oh, y'all back at work? Cool, we're dropping a new collection every 3 to 5 business days. None of this is necessary, because what happens is they drop so much that nothing becomes memorable. Because if you half of these things I didn't even remember dropped this year. Like that Sailor Moon collection, I thought that came out last year. I truthfully and honestly did. They just drop so much where nothing they do at this point is memorable. I feel like it's really important as a brand to have memorable products, to have things people will talk about at the end of the year. So I want to talk about the Sandstones collection, because Colourpop actually did get into a lot of hot water because of this collection. Now, let me pull a picture of this palette. Maybe if you see it with your own eyes, you might see why. It won't, so I'm just gonna show you. Okay. So they, they showed the pictures of it on Trend Moon and like other makeups Instagram sites, and they got promptly dragged because not only of the indigenous design used, you can't see it in this picture, but is there a better? So the packaging, it's all cultural appropriation. So the packaging, apparently some of the shade names, I would read them, but I can't, they're too small. The shade names were like play on indigenous words. Ugh. And then Colourpop got promptly dragged for that because, again, has the indigenous communities not gone through enough? They are fighting for basic human rights as we speak, and you're just like, what a cute aesthetic, because it's fall and it's stone. Again, it's like stone and you're like Native Americans. Let's steal their shit. So they got dragged, right? And they gave the worst response I've seen a brand give in a minute. And they were like, okay guys, we see your concerns and we see you. And so that's why after we sell out this stock, our next restock will change the packaging shade names. What do you mean next stock? You're supposed to recall the product, fix it, and then release it. Because the thing is, this product, the Sandstones collection, was not out yet. We had seen previews of it. And that's, in my opinion, that's the whole point of showing previews. So if there is an issue, you can pull back, fix it, release it, and have a good launch. You get your outrage that you need to sell, you fix the problem, and then you sell out the product. That's what you're supposed to do. But Colourpop was like, no, y'all finna buy this, cultural appropriation all. And my thing is, if Colourpop really wanted to do this theme and do this palette, you could have worked with an indigenous content creator. But that's not what they want. They want money. Because I'm just like, you could have saved yourself with just working with somebody of that culture. There's plenty of indigenous content creators who are very proud of their heritage that would have loved to have worked with you in Dylan's collection. You did it with Becky G. Becky G got a whole, Latin inspired collection. She got 2 actually. So why wouldn't you want to work with a not Native American, because it's not just Native Americans, but indigenous content creator? It's almost like you view Latin Americans different than, because again, how many Black creators have worked with Asian, Native American, I keep saying Native American, but it's not just Americans, it's indigenous. Like, there's so many other groups of people that Colourpop has not worked with, but you've worked with Becky G multiple times. I wonder why. You worked with so many white creators. I wonder why. But yes, that's the hot water they got into with the Sandstone collection, that they gave the worst response. That we see you, but we still finna make this coin because capitalism. What is actually wrong with Colourpop? That was some bullshit. Was some pure bullshit. You have to laugh at this point, because they really don't care. They did not care. They were just like, but y'all still gonna buy these collections, so I don't know what you're mad about. So that's it. This is a little brief, rant about the terrorist organization that is Colourpop Cosmetics. What a terrible place. They hate Black people. Don't ever forget that. I will not be buying from them because I can't. It's not even like if I wanted to buy, because I'm a palette girl. I like lip glosses and I like palettes. I have my staple bronzer, my staple highlight. I've not gotten into blushes yet. I don't know. Maybe if I get into blush or whatever. But right now, I'm in a phase of my life that I want all the eyeshadow palettes. And Colourpop does not state that need for me, because I'm not going to buy a palette, because I've refused to buy a palette where I can't use most of the shades, most of the mattes. I'm not doing that to myself. I deserve better. I deserve to be able to use majority of palette. So that's it. Thanks for watching this probably unnecessarily long video. I hope you guys are having a good, I'm filming this is Monday. This might be up today. I don't know. It depends on if I finish my paper. If I do, this will be up tonight. If it's not tonight, maybe 5 o'clock. If it's not done, see y'all tomorrow. And I hope y'all have a good week. Please do not patronize Colourpop. They do too much. There's other drugstore brands that make the same type of products, sometimes even better quality than Colourpop, and it shows up on darker skin tones. Because again, it shouldn't matter if they cater to you. It should matter that a company caters to all people, because it's great that you get something, but how about everyone else? That's actually how the downfall of Victoria's Secret happened, because skinny people were like, why are you being fat phobic? Why are you being transphobic? And then Victoria's Secret fell. So I don't think that could happen with Colourpop, just because it does have a cult following for some. Again, I know Colourpop is so different for people with lighter skin tones. You have a completely different Colourpop experience than I do. So I have to remember that y'all don't experience the hardships I go through trying to use a Colourpop palette. So to you, it has great pigmentation for a price. But for me, it does not, okay? She does not work on me unless I want to use a white base. Then I want to. Because, I didn't use white base today. Well, I used a lipstick, actually. My Stunning Lip Paint. Which actually came out cool. I think it looks nice. I like it. But anyways, thanks for watching my video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate it, because I feel like this is gonna be another long one. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. I don't really, it's not a big deal. I'm just so happy you're here, honestly, that you sat through this video to hear me ramble. That's like, thank you guys. So again, I hope you guys have a really good rest of your week. Hope you're not assaulted by Colourpop. Bye bye. See you guys later.